Catch 'em all.
Hey guys, PokéDan here. In the Pokemon franchise, we now have over 800 Pokemon, some of which have what is known as a 3-stage evolution, aka it can evolve twice from its first form. I imagine you guys know what I'm talking about, but just in case, an example of a 3-stage evolution Pokemon line would be Rowlet, Dartrix, and then Decidueye. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the middle evolution of the evolution line. In this video, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 middle evolution Pokemon. The middle evolution is kind of the transition from the cute, small starting Pokemon to the powerful final evolution, and it's an important stage in an evolution line. So guys, as usual, please note that this is just my opinion, so if you disagree, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. But with all that being said, let's get started. Coming in at number 10 on this list, we have Steamy. Okay, so let me start off by saying Steamy is just adorable. It's the evolution of Bounsweet and the pre-evolution of Zarina, and the reason why I like this Pokemon is because of the Pokemon anime. Okay, so spoiler alert for any Pokemon anime fans, but in a recent episode of the Sun and Moon anime, Marlow's Bounsweet evolves into a Steamy. It's the first evolution we've seen in the Sun and Moon anime, and it's awesome. Marlow's Steamy is just an adorable Pokemon, and I really like it. Also, another reason why I like Steamy is when I was playing through Sun and Moon, I really wanted a Bounsweet to evolve and play through my game with. I didn't end up finding one, but I still really like this evolution line. As Bounsweet evolves into Steamy, Steamy still has that cuteness of Bounsweet. It may even be cuter, but it also looks more powerful too. Coming in at the number 9 spot on this list, we have Johto Pokemon Flaffy. Like Steamy, I happen to think that Flaffy is also a pretty cute Pokemon, but that isn't the only reason why I like this Pokemon. When I was playing through Pokemon Soul Silver when I was a bit younger, I made the decision to catch a Mareep, and after it evolved, for a while I was stuck with a Flaffy on my team. This Pokemon really excelled on my team, and it was the second strongest Pokemon on my party, the strongest being my starter Pokemon of course. So because of how well it did on my team in Pokemon Soul Silver, when I came around to playing Pokemon Black and White 2, once again I captured and used a Flaffy. This Pokemon has been on in-game teams of mine quite a few times, and because of that, it's made this list. Okay, so coming in at the number 8 spot, we have the mascot of Pokemon, Pikachu. Believe it or not, but there was a time not long ago where I actually despised Pikachu. I hated it because of how overrated it was, but I have come to terms with how adorable it also is too, and also how important it is to the Pokemon franchise. Pikachu being the mascot of Pokemon is fair to say the most important middle evolution Pokemon, so for that alone, it deserved to be on this list. But also, from the Pokemon anime, Pikachu has really grown on me because of how awesome and cute it is. Pikachu is by far the most iconic Pokemon. If you talk to anyone who doesn't like Pokemon, I guarantee they will know what a Pikachu is. I may prefer Raichu myself, but Pikachu is a much more important Pokemon, and it's a bit cuter than Raichu too. Coming in at the number 7 spot on this list, we have the Steel type Metang. Metang's evolution Metagross is probably one of my favourite pseudo-legendaries, so that certainly makes me have more of a liking toward Metang. In my opinion, Metang is one of those middle evolutions that clearly shows that upon evolving, this Pokemon has changed quite a bit. Beldum was a very simple designed Pokemon, and when it evolves into Metang, fair to say it looks like a tank. I also like Metang because of the Pokemon anime too. Okay, so Metang's only major appearance in the Pokemon anime was under the ownership of Morrison in Hoenn. If you don't remember him, he was that annoying ginger kid, but I thought his Metang looked awesome. Morrison's Metang did start off as a Beldum, and seeing it evolve was pretty cool. I really like Metang, it's an awesome Pokemon. Coming in at the number 6 spot is a newer Pokemon, and that Pokemon is the Blade. Okay, so I remember when Honedge was first revealed before X and Y came out. I didn't like it at first, but it did grow on me. Same goes with its evolutions too. Aegislash is an OP Pokemon and I really like its design, and the same can be said for the number 6 spot. Not only does Doublade have a cool design, but it's also a pretty useful Pokemon in competitive play too. Doublade has good stats in attack and defense, and if you give it the move Swords Dance, you'll be getting even more attack. Also, Doublade is one of the iconic Eviolite Pokemon, and it is really useful in battles. If you haven't tried out using a Doublade yet, I highly suggest you do, as it's a strong and also an awesome Pokemon. In at the number 5 spot on this list, we have the Sinnoh Rabia. Now in my opinion, Rabia is the best middle evolution or regional bird Pokemon. Pidgeotto is okay, Tranquil is just no thanks, Fletchinder is another okay, and Trumbeak is awesome. But for me, Rabia has to be the best. That's what I think anyway. It has a really cool design, and not only that, but this is another Pokemon I used in my Pokemon Platinum team. As my older subscribers know, I'm a massive Gen 4 fanboy. Platinum was my first game, so it's understandable why I like Staravia so much. But I don't only like Staravia because of the games, I also think that Staravia was awesome in the Pokemon anime too. It was obvious that Ash was going to capture a Starly in the Sinnoh region, but once it evolved, it stayed a Staravia for quite some time. And in the episodes where it was still a Staravia, I found it to be such a cool Pokemon. I just love this regional bird so much and I had to put it on this list. Coming in at the number 4 spot on today's list is Gen 5 Pokemon Crocker Rock. Once again, this is a Pokemon that I like because of the Pokemon games and the anime. When I played through Pokemon White, I picked up a Sandile on my team, and this Pokemon was one of my favourites design wise. It also did well against some opponents on my journey too. Opponents such as Elisa and her electric types, and Elite 4 Ghost Trainer Chantel. I really enjoyed using Crocker Rock and its evolutions on my team. It was a strong member of my party and it was pretty fun to use. But like I said, I also like Crocker Rock because of the Pokemon anime too. So in the Univers anime, there was a recurring Sandile that would tease Ash, and later on in the anime, it evolved into a Crocker Rock, and finally Ash captured it. Crocker Rock is one cool Pokemon and I just love it. Coming in at the number 3 spot today, we have the original fighting Pokemon, Machoke. Now the reason for why I like Machoke is a bit more personal than the others on the list. A couple of months ago, I was replaying through Pokemon Platinum, and when I was exploring Mount Coronet, I stumbled upon something that really surprised me, a shiny Machoke. This is the only shiny Pokemon I think I've ever had in a Gen 4 game, and my reaction at the time must have been hilarious. I did end up capturing Machoke, and as you imagine, that was something I was really pleased about. I also used it on my team, and it was a strong member of my party. Because of this, since capturing the shiny Machoke on Pokemon Platinum, Machoke is probably now one of my favourite fighting type Pokemon too. I really like this Pokemon, it's amazing. Coming in at the number 2 spot on this list is the middle evolution of my first ever starter Pokemon, Monsuno. Like I said, it was my first ever starter, so of course I would give it a slot on this list. Funny enough, every time I played through Gen 4, my Chimchar would always evolve into a Monsuno just before the first gym battle. It's an odd coincidence. My Monsuno was a strong Pokemon like most starters are, and it was the lead Pokemon of my party. Of course, over time my Monsuno would evolve again into an Infernape, but it would still be awesome if it was a Monsuno. Also, Monsuno has a really cool design. It still has some of the cuteness that Chimchar had, but when it evolves into Monsuno, like I said, it looks much cooler. I also like Monsuno from the Pokemon anime too. Although it did sometimes have emotional issues, Ash's Monsuno was a really strong fighter, and it was one of his main Sinnoh Pokemon. Monsuno brings back so many good memories for me. It's an awesome Pokemon to me, and I'll always love it. And coming in at the number 1 spot on this list, we have Grovyle. Grovyle is a Pokemon I've always liked since I've gotten into Pokemon. When I was a child, I remember I used to really like Ash's Grovyle from the Hoenn anime, even when it evolved. And because of Ash's Grovyle, when I got my hands on a copy of Pokemon Sapphire, Treecko was the starter Pokemon I chose. I loved when my Treecko evolved into Grovyle. Grovyle has such a cool design, and it's one of my favourite starter Pokemon. The reason why Grovyle is at number 1 on this list, and just above Monsuno, is because this Pokemon has always stood out to me in its 3-stage evolution line. Grovyle is just such an awesome Pokemon, and it's more than deserving of the #1 spot on this list. But anyway, that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more. Also, let me know what some of your favourite middle evolutions are in the comment section, and I'll get back to you when I can. But for now, I've been PokéDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.